Hey sports fans, Coach Nick here, and welcome to B-Ball Breakdown and our live post-game show after Game 1 of the Warriors versus the Cavaliers. And it was an interesting game, kind of wild and back and forth. Certainly what it looked like to me is that the Cavaliers had had a lot of days off, and they looked a little bit rusty, but the other thing was that the Warriors were going up against defense that was so much easier to play against than what they faced with the Thunder. And so you could see that there's a lot of ball movement, a lot of freedom of movement, and they would go on these really quick runs, hyper fast, way too fast for the Cleveland Cavaliers, believe it or not, who wants to obviously slow it down. And so they'd go up by 12, and then the Cavaliers would try and pound it inside, slow it down. LeBron James was really aggressive, and a lot of times we've seen LeBron, try and get his teammates involved, but not tonight. He was really aggressive, pushing the ball, and also going down low and posting up. The Warriors in the beginning didn't double team, which is interesting, and it was one of those classic notions where perhaps the Warriors were going to let him get his, shut down everybody else. They did move to a little bit of double teaming later, and that actually got some more openings, but I was kind of struck by how stagnant the Cavaliers' offense was. It really didn't move a lot. And they seem to content to do 90s-style basketball, just pound it in the post, throw it to Love, throw it to LeBron, nobody moving on the weak side. And that's the problem, is it makes it that much easier for a really good defensive club like the Warriors to defend that, because they wall it up on the weak side, and they're not worried about cutters, and it just becomes a real problem for them. So the question here is are they going to be able to counter any of these things? And we're going to have to get in there and really study what's going on with their lineups and how they're matching up. Because there were some moments in there that Tyronn Lue was slowly figuring out where they did match up well and were causing problems. So I think what I want to do now is bring in a special guest of ours named Ashley Docking, who is a host at the Fantasy Sports Network. And I'm glad to bring her on so we can discuss a little bit of her feelings on what happened in the game today and what she saw. So, Ashley, are you with us tonight? Let's see if we get her live.
Hi.
Hi, how's it going?
Good. Thanks for having me. I'm so glad to be here.
My pleasure, my pleasure. So, really quickly, you have a little background in basketball and as a player, I believe. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yes, I played at the collegiate level for 4 years, and then once my career, I guess you could say, in quotes, was over, I ended up coaching my old team for 5 years as well.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, so, you're knee-deep in it, and let's get a sense of what you thought from the game overall.
I think that it actually should be very scary for the Cleveland Cavaliers because, in my opinion, they were already an underdog coming into this series. And I know LeBron James is always considered the Goliath, but with the way Golden State had played into the finals, Cleveland had a lot to be concerned about. And when Klay Thompson and Steph Curry both have an off night and you still can't win, that's a lot to be concerned about.
I see. It looked like he was just kind of out of it a little bit, just sort of not really focused in the moment.
Who was that, sorry?
Oh, sorry, Steph Curry.
Yeah, I don't know what was going on with him. A lot of people have been attributing some of his off days to his injury, but I feel like at this point everyone is kind of injured. I was more taken aback by how out of it Cleveland's defense seemed. Between Kyrie Irving, I know I saw a few of your tweets about it. He was going under screens or going over the top side or just dying on screens, quite frankly. Iman Shumpert came in, and he did a lot better job. He seemed more enthusiastic, but Tristan Thompson kept getting lost out on the perimeter, and it was a disaster for Cleveland. The Golden State Warriors had a field day, and quite frankly, I'm surprised they weren't up by more at half. They had wide open shots, and I know I was looking at some of the free throw numbers as well, but I don't think Golden State had the opportunity to go to the free throw line because they were getting wide open looks. They were uncontested, so no one was there to foul them.
I agree. I agree. The transition defense by the Cavaliers was, I thought, embarrassing for a team that's supposed to be playing in the finals, which they are, right? It seemed like they couldn't pick them up, and if you do that against the Warriors, I mean, you're not going to win.
No. It's one of the thing is that everyone talks about how soft the Eastern Conference is compared to the Western Conference. And as someone from Toronto, I watch the Toronto Raptors have the best season in franchise history, but they're not they're not really an active team off the ball, and in transition you don't see 1, 2, 3 trailers, something like the Warriors present. It's a different challenge that the Cavs I don't think have seen all year, so especially because they had so much time off, I think it was kind of a shock to the system.
Absolutely. Well, what did you think about the benches on these teams and how that worked in the Warriors' favor?
Well, isn't it funny that last year everyone was saying LeBron James played so well and had to be out of his mind, averaging double-double, 35 points, 13 assists, 8 rebounds, something like that, because he didn't have anyone to help him out. Well, J.R. Smith's back, Matthew Dellavedova's back. Now you have Kevin Love, who missed almost the entire postseason. Now you have Kyrie Irving, who missed almost the entire finals. And you still don't have anyone off your bench. Channing Frye played, I think, about 7 minutes or something like that. He averages 17 in the postseason. The matchups weren't really that great for the Cavaliers in terms of using your bench players in rotation. And when you have someone like Tristan Thompson, who got a double-double, and he played all right, but the fact that he shot such a low percentage, I'm just going to give it a look right now. Thompson, oh, that's not that bad, 5 of 11 in terms of percentage, but when you're shooting all your shots in the paint and they're all putbacks, those numbers should be higher.
Absolutely, for sure. And I don't know if you want him to be taking double-digit shot attempts anyway in this game.
Is that so when he gets a rebound like that in the paint, Coach, are you a proponent of him maybe looking to dish it out to someone for an open 3 or to reset the offense, or do you mind if he goes back up?
I think he's going to have to read it. Like, he's gotten better at his moves down low. So, there are times when he looks, wow, he like an up and under or some sort of a nice little hook. Mm. But when the pressure is on him down low, yeah, there are some ugly looks as well that he should just find the open guy, maybe get an open 3 on the kick out. So it's tough for him. He's just not quite a polished player, probably never will be. But that's a problem for them. And I also felt like, the offense of the Cavaliers tends to look pretty clever at times. They ran that horn set against the Raptors over and over again, and yet we see them do that. I think the Warriors' defense really limits penetration, and when they don't get that initial easy penetration, that ball doesn't whip around the perimeter like it does. They don't have the confidence, right? And it doesn't look nearly as good. It looks just very stagnant.
Well, you mentioned some of the help defense that was coming and the double teams on the post. A lot of the times I noticed that they were coming from the top of the key, which even when LeBron's in the post and we know that he's a great passer, even when he does distribute to the weak side, the rotation's already there for the Warriors. Their team defense is so good, and because the help's not coming from the middle of the lane, it just makes things so much easier for them on the rotation. But for me personally, I was coming into this game expecting J.R. Smith's Kevin Love to be the X factor, because in the games where the Toronto Raptors gave the Cavs some trouble, he was kind of non-existent. But I'm starting to feel like maybe it's J.R. Smith that we were really missing in this game.
Oh, absolutely. I had tweeted that out earlier today, that I think he's going to have to be the guy that matches Klay Thompson's threes, or really. Actually, he probably didn't have to worry about that tonight because Klay didn't shoot as well. But certainly, he needs to be a guy who is on fire and hitting shots and playing much more solid defense. Without question, that's an issue. And we've seen him in having moments, but he's going to have to play a lot better and not get lost. So that's the other thing is they need to be able to find him and create shots for him, get him coming off screens, and I felt like they didn't do that at all.
Yeah, I don't know, for some reason to me, J.R. Smith is kind of an emotional player, and I think that when something happens, he either has 2 reactions, strong one way or the other. So he gets really mad, I don't know if I can say peed off, gets really pissed off, and then he kind of goes into, I'm going to be a sharpshooter, and just gets his crosshairs on the net. Or in this instance, when he hurt his hand when he dove for the ball with Bogut, I thought that he kind of regressed a little bit and went into a bit of a shell. He wasn't as physical, he wasn't aggressive, so I don't know the extent of the injury. But to me, that was a surprise that he didn't just come out guns blazing as much as we're used to seeing.
Absolutely. Well, I just got to tell you, fantastic insights, and I'm really glad that you can come on here and share them with me so that I'm not talking to myself the whole show. So, Ashley, we can come back on again for game 2. Let's chop it up and figure out what happened in that game as well.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks, Coach.
You got it. Thanks, Ashley, and we'll talk to you soon.
See ya.
Well, now let's move on to our next most popular segment, which is going to Twitter to find out some of the questions that you guys have about the game or about the NBA. And remember, if you want to ask a question for me, then you can use the hashtag BBallShow, and we will get up to it on Twitter and answer your questions like we do every live post-game show. So, are we ready to go to the monitor? Okay, let's skip over to the monitor here and see who's got what questions first. So, let's see here. Our first question here is from HD. How can Cleveland get JR going like he was against the Hawks? He was deadly. Well, that was a great question we just kind of let off at the end of our discussion with, which is they need to run pin downs for him. They need to run floppy action, get him moving and running across the court. I'll have to go through the footage, but I didn't see that happening very much. And they definitely could run more of that if they did it all. Okay, let's see. Aussie Hoops asks, should Mozgov get minutes in this series, and do the Cavs need to slow the pace down like last year? I think so. When we saw them screw up their rotations and their basic defensive pickups in transition, it leads me to believe that they really can't handle going quickly against the Warriors. So we did see the success when they pounded it down low, and I really don't like 90s post-up ball. But in those moments when they were able to close the gap a little bit, that's what was giving them success. So I like Mozgov. I think he's got some skill. I don't see why he got completely shelled early, months ago. But if it goes downhill in next game, they're going to have to, do something, and Mozgov's a good place to look. Gabriel Toledano asks, what does Golden State do to recover so well? Could you break down the rotations? Is it different from Atlanta? It's interesting because they didn't play Atlanta, but it's a little different from Atlanta. I'm not exactly sure what you mean on that one. Is it but I will. We'll definitely look at the rotations and how they're subbing. But certainly you can see Steve Kerr rides his bench, gives them a lot of confidence to play, knowing they're going to get minutes. And he had a brief moment actually earlier in last series where he really shortened the rotation, and I thought it hurt them. And when he finally went back to guys like Barbosa, they really came through. And you saw tonight, Barbosa deserves 2 game balls. Let's see. Our next question is Six Striker asks, why does this game feel so different? You want this one. Okay. I think we got back. Sorry, guys. We had a little bit of a, let's try this. A little bit of technical difficulties, but I think we're back on. Sorry about that, everybody. Here we are. Okay, let's continue. We have a couple more questions, and we'll go back to, or we'll do some film sessions. So, how is the film going? Is the film going to be ready, or no? You couldn't get it in? All right, I'll fix that while we talk. So, is this series over for the Cavs, and how exactly can the Cavs win against the Golden State team? I kind of feel like it's getting close to being over because it didn't look like there was going to be any adjustments they can make. But we're going to have to dive into the film and see. I'm sure there's going to be something in there the Cavs can hang their hat on. But as it is now, when you have Curry and Clay play the way they did and you still win, going away, it's really concerning for the other team. Makagi asks, why was Golden State's doubling off of the post so effective? It seemed like they didn't handle the pressure well. I think it was okay. I think they were able to get some good shots earlier on, but the Warriors are very long and quick. I'm not even sure I like the way they were doubling, honestly. I feel like they were doubling one pass away where they didn't have to, but it worked, so no sense in having to, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Is that the last question we have for right now, or is there any more? Okay, so well, let's move on. Let me quickly see if I can get this. This is live TV. We're trying a new system here, and we're trying to get the clips in from the into iTunes here. So let's just quickly go to movies, and you can see all the movies that I have, and let's get these in here because it should work if you do this. We're not in the right spot is probably why. Okay, I don't know if it's going to work. Sorry, sports fan. I don't know. It was supposed to work, but it's not importing, huh? This doesn't look the way it did before. I don't know what happened. Anything changed? No? All right. Well, I don't know if we're going to get the clips tonight. So let's go back to our other angle here, and I'll sit down. You can do it that way? Okay, let's try this way. So if we can go full screen, we can see what we can do. I just can't control it, but I'll talk them through it. Okay, so let's look at our first clip here early in the first quarter where we have LeBron James bring the ball down, and let's stop it here. So you can see here, they got a switch from Bogut, and that's an interesting play here. So I think, can we go frame by frame with the arrows here? Do we have arrows or not? I was supposed to be able to control this, but we'll see. So, we actually, you know what? I can do it because they don't need me. All right. So let's see here. LeBron James gets the ISO here against Bogut, and you can see here how stagnant it gets, right? Everybody here is on the weak side is like kind of walling off the zone. They can all stare at LeBron, not caring about what their man is because their man isn't going to move. So LeBron attacks really nicely. I like what Bogut did, steps in, and they force the miss. But you can see here that they don't get a body at all on Tristan Thompson. And the reason why is because Bogut was supposed to be guarding Tristan Thompson, and on the rotation, that's Harrison Barnes is in there. He goes to the ball and then doesn't box anybody out, and they get the putback on a nice finish. That's pretty good. Now, let's move to a little bit later where we have an inbounds play. So I wanted to show this where we have Clay coming around an Ezeli pin down, a double cross screen for him. And then what happens here, which doesn't make any sense, is that Tristan Thompson is guarding Draymond Green. And Draymond Green's a good three-point shooter. He's certainly decent. But watch what happens. The terrible communication here. Love is in perfect position to stop the Ezeli cut. There's no reason they needed to have Tristan Thompson go down there with him. And it's an easy pass, wide open three, and it's boom. Not a good way to get a team who shoots threes well open like that. So now we move on to, in the second quarter early, we have Iguodala on the wing against Kevin Love. And we don't get a chance to see, of course, they were doing some replay. We don't get a chance to see how this happened. But actually, this looks like this is the matchup where Kevin Love had to guard Iguodala. And so this is great defense, by the way, by the Cavaliers, right? They push up. I like what Jefferson did here to deny the pass. And now Delly is here denying the pass to Barbosa. So they force the offense a lot higher. However, once it gets back to Delly, they realize they have a matchup advantage here in speed, and they tack on the catch, a nice jab fake. And then what is this? I just kind of want to watch this a couple times. This is a right foot jump, right hand shot, spinning lefty toward his left, the baseline, out of bounds. I mean, look, when the ball hits the rim, he's already, you know, amongst the cameras. It's crazy. I don't know how he made that shot, but that got him going. Now we can see here what they were doing as far as doubling. LeBron James was really, really aggressive here on his double teams, on his post-ups. And you can see here, again, it's very stagnant. There's no cutting. So look, you got a wall here. You got an L. They're making an L here, and they have 3 seconds to be in the lane before they get out. So Draymond doubles one pass away, which is very dangerous against Kevin Love. I wouldn't recommend that at all. However, he gets out there. He closes the gap there. They go right back on the repost, face up. But LeBron kind of bails him out with a little bit of a jumper. Now, if you look at that, there wasn't much time left. So once you do the repost and you spend all that time before kicking it out, there just simply isn't going to be a lot of time to get that shot. He didn't have much choice. So now we'll move on to, they bring the ball down with the Barbosa. And, like, you know, if you look at this lineup here, you have Harrison Barnes, Draymond Green, and then you have Iguodala, Livingston, and Barbosa. So you got 3 bench players in there. And these are the lineups that were really hurting them. And Barbosa comes right to the lane. Now, normally what you think is, what I would see here is, this is a screen coming for him, and he would probably ice this, and Kevin Love would drop down. But Kevin Love just sort of drifts up there, doesn't really even run down there to help. He's walking, and they get the layup. Now, a little bit later in the second, Kyrie comes down, and they're already down by 10, and this is getting precarious. So what happens here, you can see how Klay Thompson's got his feet set to no middle. He's forcing him to the baseline. And then he kind of opens up a little bit. I wasn't really excited about that. And then they let him use the screen. They switch. So they know this is going to be a switch. Kevin Love's going to pin him down here, which is great offense. The pass wasn't good, though. This is the problem. You throw this kind of lazy pass out here, and look where he catches the ball now. He's much farther away than he had in the basket. And then because it's so stagnant here, again, you won't see these guys move at all on the perimeter. They got a perfect L. It's so easy for Draymond to rotate over and then to sink and fill for Livingston, and there's nothing. And Kevin Love is going to throw the ball off of the backboard. I mean, that's embarrassing how bad that is. Okay, now we move a little bit later on in the second quarter, and Steph brings the ball up. They initiate into Love in the post. Now remember, the split from the low post is their bread and butter, and we like to usually see Klay and Curry split it, but Klay is not in right now, so Barnes will set it. Now, this is interesting. They don't even get close to setting it because they know how much pressure they're already putting on it. So when Curry kind of cuts through, it becomes a bit of a screen for Barnes, who was open. But then Curry is going to wrap around. You know, he's open all over the place on this. And then Harrison Barnes' mama does a little ISO and nails a 20-footer. They had to celebrate a little bit Harrison Barnes, who looked terrific tonight and really just in the moment, solid, aggressive, all those things. Terrific stuff. All right, so that's the end of our clips for the first half. And we can go to the second half. How did you? Oh, there we go. Let's go full screen. And let's see what we got here. So late in the third quarter, down by 13, the Cavs are going to run high horns for Delly, which is okay. I'd rather see Kyrie get this kind of action, but so Delly doesn't even really use it. Now he's calling. It's confusion, right? He's got Draymond on him on that switch. He's calling for another screen. He doesn't want to go. And by the way, who's on top is LeBron James with Steph Curry guarding him. That certainly would be a matchup they want. But what does they do? He doesn't even look at him. It's weird. He just falls. Or I see the little playground reach around. But when you're Draymond Green at 6'7", 6'8", with long arms, you can do that against a guy like Delly. He falls down. They push the ball up hard. And there comes Iggy. Oh, and he gets a little bit of the nut shot. So I just wanted to, we had some testiness going on in there, testiness, and ultimately you see in the replay that Delly was going for a reach and he missed pretty much, and that's going to hurt and that's going to get people upset, but no technical or anything. So then they run a little out of bounds play here with they get the ball to Livingston at the top. Now they run a nice little set here because remember, I love when you see Curry moving off the ball. He really works well, and Barnes catches his man. He was open in the stretch, but the ball is a little too far away to make that pass. However, they want to switch this, okay? So you can see here, Shumpert is already so far behind Curry coming around. Now, you can guard this sort of facing their back to the basket, kind of, but usually you reserve this kind of position for a big man down low who's helping guard a pin down when your man is setting the pin down. His man is not. So his man is sprinting. this doesn't work. And it certainly wasn't enough communication, if any at all, between Shumpert and Kyrie. And that leaves Iggy wide open to shoot the three. And as we said on the tweet, balls don't lie. All right, so let's move on a little bit to a little farther. Okay, so now coming out of a timeout, they're going to do another split. Now, here's what this is funny. Remember, their bread and butter is a split. So they throw the ball to the low post, which is basically where they are. And then Livingston usually would want to screen here at the elbow for Draymond. And he looks like he kind of forgets. Look, oops, whoops, and then he goes and gets out of there. So then they get a little, an opening for Iguodala, again, who was just terrific all night tonight. And when he had Kyrie on him, he could get that off over him all day. Now, the Cavaliers are going to come down. And then what are they going to run here? They're going to run, okay, so they tried to set a 25. They want to set that the two guard sets a screen for the 5, who then comes and sets a ball screen. Well, look, this is not executing that very well at all. They blow it up completely. Draymond's in perfect position to help. And they switch this. But this is not really an advantage. Most guards honestly don't have an advantage when they get a one-on-one switch with Draymond on top. It's just not. He's too good, too long. And let's see what happens here, although I think he gets abused, right? But, oh, no, Kyrie misses. So you go from Iguodala getting Kyrie on him, a smaller guy, and he can, shoot a 15, 16-footer over him. And then here they get a 20-foot step back with the clock winding down over a Draymond. It doesn't work. And they come right back down in this stretch. And here comes Barbosa, who hits that shot. So, wait, did I miss that? Okay, here we go. So now coming back down in the fourth, we have, okay, so now they're on a huge run. They're down by 14. The game's about to be over. And Kyrie, to his credit, comes down, and this is nice. And the spacing isn't great. I don't know. Dellavedova is late getting to where he's supposed to be on his high screen and roll. However, he crosses, because you can see that Barbosa wanted to ice his screen and force him away from it, but obviously it's a train wreck generally with Varejao. He usually is in the wrong position, doesn't really know what he's doing. I'm surprised he did so well the game before. And, of course, he's not in the right position here. He can't be effective at all on that drive, and Kyrie gives him a much-needed bucket. Then they come down 9 minutes to go with LeBron on top. They get the switch with Livingston, but remember, Livingston's a tough defender. He's 6'7". Again, you don't want to switch with these guys or set that screen even because you're not really getting the advantage. Who's the advantage? Barbosa. Have J.R. Smith screen for him. That's an advantage that LeBron can take and really do some damage on. So he tries to go in. They close out. They cover everything. Love can't handle. No, look at this. By the way, so Livingston goes from guarding LeBron, and he sees the drive. He comes flying over, pressures that bad miss. Now LeBron, because you have Draymond down there, long arms, look what he does. He pressures the ball. LeBron never would have ever missed this. This is kind of, I hate to say it, but a sign of, a lot of minutes on his body where he can't elevate well. He can't finish as well down there and missed a few of them down there. It's kind of, this is Father Time talking to us. So they come down. We have Livingston. Okay, so here we have Livingston with a pull-up, right? Now this is another one of those embarrassing transition defenses where, first of all, who's guarding Livingston? I guess it's Kevin Love. And that's how they have to match up because what they have there is Iguodala, Livingston, Barbosa, Barnes, and Draymond. This is not the lineup of death, but it's an interesting small ball lineup. So they decided to have Kevin Love in there as the big man. And all they're end up going to get is, in theory, he should be on Draymond. Once that screen happens, they switch, and it's over. Kevin Love, actually is a pretty good contest, but not at a 15-footer. You better block that if you're going to try. Now, later on in the fourth, the game is 11 points. It's about to be over here. And Curry, who had a terrible game all night, actually is interesting. Got Love on him on the switch. Goes away from him. So let's see. Oh, okay, I remember this. Excuse me. So Love is on Curry. Now, LeBron is a very smart player, one of the smartest players in the NBA. So he sees this and says, you know what, I better switch with him. Well, you can do that if LeBron was up here guarding like Draymond on the perimeter. But you can't do it when the guy is next to the hoop, next to the lane. Watch what happens. He leaves him. He walks to leave him. Love doesn't hear that, and he never would have in time, and they get a layup off of that. And I just can't tell you how frustratingly bad that is. The intention might have been there, but it's such the poor execution of it. You cannot leave your man there no matter how much you want to, quote-unquote, help your teammate up there. Gives him a layup and a foul. and that game is just about over at that point. Now, coming down again, 11 points, 3 minutes and 15 seconds. It's there's still some time, and they get a steal. So this is good. This is another example of Curry just being off. Like, this pass is off. He throws it he bounces it way too close to Love, not far enough out and leading him. And it's a nice deflection by Kyrie. Terrific defense. Here comes so here comes LeBron. But again, this is the kind of plays that win championships. Draymond Green hustles, reaches, just knocks it away with his long wingspan. Terrific stuff. And then Curry's going to come down. And up 11, Curry is probably upset at himself at this point because he just hasn't been playing well. And he's just going to ISO on Kyrie and make Kyrie look not good. Now, watch his footwork on this. We work on this idea for the scissoring of your feet together. So if you can see this, it's basically a hop as he comes down and he scissors his feet together. Boom. It's a little bit of a 1-2 in there, but it's pretty close. And nice rhythm. Doesn't matter that the guy was right in his face. Bam, knocks it down, and we're getting pretty close to dagger time here. And then, so what do we have here? Kyrie gets a high post, high pick and roll. And now he's got, okay, again, Draymond on him. And whoever, Tyronn Lue is going to have to tell his guards, if Draymond Green switches on you, it's not a great situation to isolate on him on the perimeter. It's really going to be a hard shot. That was a very hard shot. Now, Kyrie makes a lot of those, and you can't argue with, okay, he got a shot close to the rim, but when you have to get it over Draymond, it's almost impossible. And then, again, more of the transition defense. The game is pretty much over at this point anyway, but look, no one's talking. This is interesting. So it looks like J.R. Smith came over to guard Klay Thompson. But then, oh, yeah. But nobody picked up Iguodala. Guess who should have? Woo-hoo, Kevin Love. He was the guy who should have guarded Iggy. That's his man, and the way the scenario is. So Tyronn Lue got caught with his pants down with Kevin Love. It was really a shame. So that is a huge issue. Let's go back to some questions and see what we have here, and we can go back to that. Let's see here. All right, let's go back to some questions. We'll get Wajid on the scroll. And we'll wrap it up here. Don't forget, if you have questions, make sure to ask using the hashtag BBallShow. So what do we have since we left off? We have, oh my goodness, a lot of questions. But Makagi asks, why was Golden State's doubling off the post so effective? It seemed like they didn't handle the pressure well. I think we talked about that, their length. So let's see if we can scroll down and find where we left off. There we go. Do you think a lot of the blame for this loss lies on Tyronn Lue and his inability to make the proper rotations? I think so. I think he got caught with his pants down way too often with Kevin Love out there guarding their small ball stuff. They're going to have to limit his minutes, I think. We talked about it before the series, and I think we've seen it in practice now. It's just not going to work. So let's see the next question here after Patrick's. Is David Wu asks, are the Cavs just disorganized off, or are they in general not enough to defeat the Golden State Warriors? Their disadvantage is fixable. I think that it's going to be about 5-man lineups. And Tyronn Lue's going to have to really study that and figure out what works best and what already worked better for them tonight, and go with that more without question. Steven asks, do you think that LeBron would have had the same success finals appearances if he was playing in the West? I mean, is the question, would he have had as many finals appearances? I mean, it's hard to know, but certainly it would have been a lot harder. And you know what? We can't fault him for playing in the East. It's where he's playing, and that's it. And it's not like it's, you can't just say historically, oh, he just had him easy. He got to the finals. It's not an easy task. And but that said, if he was in the West, I don't think he would have gotten to as many. Nate Willett asks, what do you think worked for the Cavs in the third, and can it be replicated for an entire game? I need to look at the lineups. I would sense that Love played less in the third in those stretches where they did well, and I think that that's going to be the problem. Now, they could play Love. They just can't have him in there when he's the center. That's the problem. Luke asks, do the Warriors need to rely less on Splash Brothers and more on people like Livingston? I mean, when the Splash Brothers are off like that, absolutely, and that's why Bob Myers, the general manager of the Warriors, deserves 3 awards, because bringing guys like Livingston and Barbosa in really can help you when your stars are off, which is very rare. They both are. Makagi asks, do you think Iguodala's great defense made it harder for the refs to blow the whistle on other steals that may have had contact? I think he gets the benefit of the doubt a lot of the time because he's a great defender. Just, that part of it, that's just how it is. And so that's part of it. But, he really is good, and those are a lot of clean strips he gets. So, yeah, they are probably going to assume maybe more that it's clean than it is not clean. Christian asks, any reason why Lou didn't use Channing Frye more? Yeah, we talked about that earlier, and it's just a thing where they're going to probably have to use him at the 5 and try and bench Love and see if Channing Frye can play a little bit better defense. But, he's not like that much better, but he might be a little bit better. But it's a tough one, and I think Lou gets the blame here for rotations for sure tonight. Ibrahim Toure asks, is Kevin Love too much of a liability on D? Start Shumpert over him in game 2. Zach Lowe brought that up, and I tweeted it out earlier today, and I'm intrigued by that. There's some political fallout to not starting Love, right? He's the guy they brought in. He's getting paid all that money. Will he sulk and not give you anything? So I thought they'd have to be down 3-0 before they do that. But maybe if they're down 2-0, they will. But I don't think they won't do it in game 2. I would be shocked. Steven asks, what did the Cavs do to limit Steph and Clay, or is it just an off night for both? I don't know. I didn't see much impressive defense on that end. I saw a little bit from Kyrie, but I just think that they were off. It didn't really. I'll have to really, study that film and figure out what was going on. Lamont asks, any thoughts on Jeff Van Gundy's comment that officials are taught to view the game differently than coaches and players? That's a great question for Ronnie that we can go over a core call with. I think that they are taught to view the game differently, but I think the referees also benefit when they do know the game like a coach as well. They know the situations. They know what teams are trying to do. It tends to make them a lot better. So I think that there is the technical stuff that the referees need to know is obviously very important. But I think that they do know. I think some referees do understand the game like coaches and like players. Heck, some of them are former players. Sizu asks, no sound. Okay, so we fixed that, I hope. Was Kyrie's ISO playback too predictable for Golden State defenders? Absolutely. Any stagnant offense you see against the Warriors is going to be a bad offense, and it's a very tough shot. Okay. What about the pace of the game? Who imposed this? Oh, without question, the Warriors were able to run and really kill them in transition. And the Cavaliers just really struggled all night trying to handle that. Jody, the bench won the game, and Clay and Curry did not play well. Do you think the Cavs had a chance? Have a chance? I don't think they have much of a chance based on what we saw tonight. Romo says, I've never seen Livingston shoot that well. What do you think got him going? I just think that they were, it's actually, he didn't get a lot of easy shots. He had to shoot over guys, but that's how he shoots anyway. So, it's one of those things. He was locked in, and, for the same reason that Curry was sort of off, well, Livingston was on. This kind of happens that way sometimes. Costa asks, what was the key to the win, defense or offense? I think the difference in offense was huge. I think it was the Cavs. Yeah, the Cavs defense was the key. They didn't play well enough. We showed you one example where they denied a pass and they forced them farther out, but there was so little of that the Warriors were getting whatever shot they wanted. Romo asks, how do you think the reffing was tonight? I thought a little in favor of Golden State. Maybe a little bit. I thought it was pretty good overall. They didn't seem to stand out either way too much. Nathan Lowe, did it hurt the Cavs to resort to isolation with LeBron similar to last year? Absolutely. It's really frustrating. And that's on LeBron. It's on Tyronn Lue. It's on all those guys. But like LeBron and Lue are the ones who kind of control that, and they need to get much more movement if they want to get better shots. Let's see. Is Hump Day your favorite day? No, I think the weekends. I think Sunday is my favorite day. Why do the Cavs think it's okay for Iguodala to shoot threes? He's shooting a whole 10% higher than LeBron at a great 42%. You know what? Iguodala is very streaky, so I don't blame him necessarily for leaving him open to all the people. Let him get it open. But once you get into a rhythm, then you don't need to, then you need to get out there and stop him. So Leander was listening to the coach, Tyronn Lue, saying that it doesn't sound like they want to make any adjustments in game 2. They played fine. Well, I suppose he might say that to the press. But I think we're going to show some in a couple of breakdowns over the next 24 hours that was not the case. So let's go. I think we have that's a lot of great questions. If I don't get to your questions tonight, then I can always get to them on Twitter in a little bit. But I don't know. I hope you enjoyed our new format of our live show, and I want to thank Wajit for one of our interns for coming in and being the technical director. I think we're going to fix some other things and make it run smoother. But if you have any comments, let me know on Twitter or on YouTube. Anything we can fix on this end, and we can make it even better for you. So I'm really happy to get to the NBA Finals. The season's been long, a lot of stuff happening, but we're going to do like mini breakdowns of these games, I think. So we'll probably spotlight some of the transition defensive issues they had for Cleveland, and we'll spotlight why Clay and Curry were off, those kind of things. Littler videos more quickly so you can enjoy them faster. So anyway, don't forget, we'll be doing these every game. That's the plan, at least. So join us there. Join us on Twitter. Live tweeting the games is really going to be fun, and a lot of fun stuff there. So don't forget, sports fans, at BBallBreakdown, we're not a channel. We're a conversation. You win,